The words cut through the polished air of Manhattan like a knife. Get your homeless ass out of my luxury showroom before I call security. Veronica Hayes, 29, with her perfectly styled auburn hair, barely glances up from her sleek tablet. Her perfectly manicured fingers tap rhythmically against the glass reception desk of Sterling Realty. Mark Thompson, 40, stands frozen, dressed in simple jeans and a crisp white shirt. His dark skin stands in stark contrast to the gleaming marble and gold accents surrounding him. Behind him, expansive windows frame the vibrant autumn foliage of Central Park. Other clients, all affluent and predominantly white, sip champagne while perusing listings that start in the millions. A security guard lingers near the entrance, his hand resting on his radio. Finally, Veronica looks up, her green eyes scanning Mark with blatant disdain. Security deals with vagrants on Wednesdays, she remarks, her tone dripping with condescension. This scene unfolds daily in America's corporate towers, a real-life narrative of bias masquerading as business. Have you ever been judged by your appearance in a place where you belonged? Mark steps closer to the reception desk, his voice steady and professional. I'd like to inquire about your listings on Fifth Avenue. Veronica's laughter rings out, sharp and mocking. She turns to her colleague, Lisa, a brunette in her 30s, who is sorting through files nearby. Another one who thinks he can afford Fifth Avenue, she scoffs, ensuring her voice carries for the other clients to hear. Lisa glances up, smirking, then returns to her work, the complicity seamless and practiced. Sir, Veronica drags out the word as if it's distasteful. Everything here starts at $3 million. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at a discount agency down the street. She slides a crumpled brochure across the marble surface, advertising low-income housing options in the Bronx. The paper lands at Mark's feet. Behind him, Mrs. Collins, an elderly white woman in a designer outfit, receives a crystal flute of champagne, escorted by a junior agent to a private viewing room. The contrast is glaring, designed to humiliate. Mark bends down slowly, retrieving the brochure. His movements are deliberate, controlled. As he straightens, the edge of his leather wallet peeks out, a sleek black wallet with a silver clasp. Veronica misses it entirely, already typing on her tablet. Could you spell your name for our security log? She asks, her fingers hovering over the screen, eyes never meeting his. Mark Thompson, he replies. Mark Thompson. She types slowly, deliberately, mispronouncing each syllable. And your legitimate business purpose here today? The question hangs in the air, heavy and accusatory. Other conversations quiet down. Mrs. Collins peers over her champagne glass, intrigued. Mark's phone buzzes, the caller ID flashing briefly. Morgan Stanley, Wealth Management. He declines the call without a second thought. I'm interested in commercial properties, multi-unit developments. Veronica snorts derisively. Commercial? Our commercial division handles properties starting at $75 million. She snaps a photo of him with her phone. No permission asked, no explanation given. Within moments, the image appears in the company's internal chat. Suspicious individual in showroom claiming interest in commercial real estate. Security notified. Lisa types back immediately. Same guy who was here last week. Veronica responds. Different one. They all look alike, though. LOL. In the corner, Emily Chun, a 22-year-old intern, live streams her coffee run to her followers. Her phone captures everything. Veronica's eye rolls, the crumpled brochure, Mark's calm demeanor. Comments flood in real time. This is disgusting. Where is this? I know this place. Sterling Realty on 58th. Document everything, sis. Emily's viewer count climbs. 127, 245, 387. James, we need you out here. Veronica calls toward the back office. James Rodriguez emerges from behind frosted glass doors, 45, with graying hair and an expensive suit that screams middle management. His eyes immediately assess Mark, evaluating clothes, posture, perceived threat level. What seems to be the issue, Veronica? This gentleman claims he's interested in our commercial listings. Veronica's tone makes gentleman sound like an insult. James approaches Mark with measured steps, like a security guard confronting a shoplifter. Sir, I'm going to need to see some proper identification and appointment confirmation. Mark reaches into his jacket pocket. A first-class boarding pass from JFK to Dubai dated yesterday peeks out briefly. James notices but doesn't grasp its significance. Mark hands over his driver's license. Clean record. Manhattan address on the Upper West Side. James studies it longer than necessary, comparing the photo to Mark's face multiple times. This address? Do you rent or own? I own the entire building. Mark replies calmly. Veronica's laugh becomes shrill. Right, and I own the Statue of Liberty. James hands back the license with obvious reluctance. Mr. Thompson, this establishment caters to serious investors, people with documented assets, verified income streams. I understand. Do you? Because we've had issues recently with individuals wasting our agents' time. Time that could be spent with legitimate clients. Mrs. Collins shifts uncomfortably in her viewing room. Even she recognizing the coded language. Mark's phone buzzes again. This time the caller ID reads, Board Meeting Reminder. The notification is visible for 3 seconds before he dismisses it. James catches a glimpse but doesn't process what he's seen. His focus remains on intimidation tactics. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of our satellite offices. They handle smaller transactions. I prefer to speak with someone in charge. I am in charge of client relations. And I'm telling you that without proper financial documentation, bank statements, tax returns, proof of funds, we cannot waste executive time on unqualified prospects. Emily's live stream now has 623 viewers. Comments scroll rapidly. This is textbook discrimination. Document everything. Someone call corporate. This is illegal. The tension thickens. Other clients openly stare. Lisa pretends to organize files while recording video on her phone. Mark remains unnaturally calm, like a man holding a royal flush in a poker game. Veronica grows bolder. Security cameras are recording everything, sir. If you refuse to leave voluntarily, we'll have documentation for the police report. She doesn't realize how prophetic her words are. Mark glances at his watch. A simple Timex, deliberately chosen. Before we involve law enforcement, perhaps you could reference your company handbook. Section 4.7, regarding customer treatment protocols. James's confidence wavers slightly. How do you know about internal handbook sections? Mark's smile appears for the first time, brief and enigmatic. I make my business to know these things. The answer raises more questions than it answers. Veronica and James exchange glances, sensing something is off, but unable to pinpoint it. The frosted glass doors swing open again. Janet Lee steps into the showroom, a senior agent in a perfectly tailored suit. Her sharp eyes immediately assess the situation. James, what's the commotion? Mr. Thompson here claims interest in our commercial division. James's emphasis on claims drips with skepticism. Janet approaches slowly, her designer heels clicking against the marble. She positions herself between Mark and the executive elevator bank, a subtle but deliberate blocking maneuver. Commercial properties require substantial financial backing, Mr. Thompson. Our portfolio starts at $75 million, with buyers typically representing Fortune 500 companies or international investment groups. Mark nods calmly. I understand the requirements. Do you? Janet's smile turns predatory. Because frankly, you don't fit our typical client demographic. The statement hangs in the air like poison gas. Mrs. Collins audibly gasps from her viewing room that Emily's live stream explodes with comments. Viewer count now approaching 800. This is actionable discrimination. Get their names. Johnson and Associates about to get exposed. Mark pulls out his phone to check something. The screen briefly shows his calendar. Multiple meetings with Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and the Federal Reserve Bank. The appointments scroll by too quickly for the staff to read clearly, but the logos are unmistakable. Excuse me, Mark says quietly. I need to return an important call. He steps toward the window. Phone presses ear. His voice drops to a whisper, but certain words carry. Board resolution, discrimination protocols, immediate implementation. James and Janet exchange worried glances. Something about Mark's demeanor, his unshakable calm, his specific knowledge of company policies, and his expensive accessories contradicting his simple clothes doesn't add up. Veronica pulls James aside, whispering urgently, "Something's off about this guy. He knows too much about our internal procedures. He's probably some activist with a hidden camera." James replies, "We need to get him out before this becomes a PR nightmare." Too late. Emily's live stream has been shared across Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. The building security guard, Marcus Davis, approaches reluctantly, a black man in his 50s. He's clearly uncomfortable with the situation. His radio crackles. Front desk to security. "We need assistance with an uncooperative individual." Marcus looks between Mark and staff, recognition flickering in his eyes. Not recognition of Mark personally, but recognition of the situation. He's experienced this kind of treatment himself. "Sir," Marcus speaks softly to Mark, "is there anything I can help you with?" The kindness in Marcus's voice creates a stark contrast to the hostility from the sales staff. Mark smiles genuinely for the second time. "I appreciate that, Marcus. I'm just waiting to speak with someone who has actual authority here." The implication hits like a slap. Janet's face reddens. "I have 15 years of experience and manage this location's commercial division. I have more authority than anyone you need to speak with." "Noted," Mark replies simply. His phone buzzes with a text message. The preview shows board meeting moved up 30 minutes. Emergency session regarding. The rest is cut off. But Janet catches a glimpse of his name at the top of the message. "Mark, your last name is Thompson?" "Yes." "And this is Sterling Realty?" "Correct." Janet's mind races, trying to connect dots that don't make sense to her. Coincidence? Scam? Something else entirely? Veronica interrupts her thoughts. "I'm calling the police. This has gone on long enough." She dials 911, speaking loudly for effect. "Yes, I need to report a trespassing situation. We have an individual refusing to leave our business premises." Mark watches with detached interest, like someone observing a fascinating experiment. His calm is unnerving. Mrs. Collins finally emerges from her viewing room. "Excuse me," she addresses Janet directly. "I've been a client here for 12 years. I've never seen such appalling behavior from your staff." Janet turns, forced to acknowledge their actual paying customer. "Mrs. Collins, I apologize for any disruption. We're handling a security situation." A security situation? A man politely asking about real estate constitutes a security situation? This is discrimination, plain and simple. The elderly woman's accusation carries weight. She represents old money, established Manhattan society, the exact demographic Sterling Realty desperately wants to retain. James tries damage control. "Mrs. Collins, you misunderstand the situation. This individual hasn't provided proper financial documentation. Did you ask me for financial documentation when I walked in? Did you photograph me for security purposes?" The questions hang unanswered because everyone knows the truth. Mark's phone rings again. This time he answers. "Yes, I'll be right up. The executive conference room. Thank you." He ends the call and turns to face the assembled staff. "It seems my meeting has been moved up. I need to head upstairs now." Janet blocks his path to the elevator bank. "Sir, those elevators require executive access cards. They only go to the corporate offices." Mark reaches into his jacket pocket. His fingers find a small plastic card, black with gold lettering and his photo clearly visible. He doesn't show it yet. Instead, he smiles. "I'm sure we can work something out." Mark reaches into his portfolio with deliberate slowness. Every movement is measured and controlled. The showroom falls silent except for the distant hum of Manhattan traffic and the soft ping of notifications from Emily's live stream. He withdraws a single sheet of paper, cream-colored letterhead, embossed logo, official corporate seal. Without a word, he places it gently on Veronica's marble desk. The document lands with the weight of a bomb. Veronica's eyes scan the header. Her face drains of color so rapidly that James notices before reading a single word. "What is it?" he demands, snatching the paper. The letterhead reads, "Sterling Realty Internal Audit Division." Below that, "Confidential Employee Performance Evaluation." And at the bottom in bold black ink, marked Thompson, Chief Executive Officer. James's hands begin trembling. The paper flutters like a leaf in the wind. Janet moves closer, reading over his shoulder. Her expression shifts from confusion to horror to absolute terror in 3 seconds. This can't be real, Veronica whispers, her voice cracking. Mark says nothing. He simply reaches into his jacket and produces his corporate credit card, a Black American Express Centurion, the name embossed in gold. The silence stretches like pulled wire, ready to snap. Mrs. Collins gasps audibly. Emily's live stream explodes. Comments flood the screen so fast they blur into digital waterfalls. Holy crap, he's the CEO. Plot twist of the century. This is going to break the internet. The showroom has gone dead silent, except for the soft sobbing from Veronica. Mark continues. I've been documenting incidents, building a comprehensive case. Today was my final test. I wanted to experience firsthand what minority customers face in my own company. You exceeded my worst expectations. Mrs. Collins speaks up from the viewing room. I've witnessed discrimination here before. I should have said something sooner. Her admission adds another layer to the case. Witness testimony from an established client. Emily's live stream has now reached 4,200 viewers. Major news outlets are contacting her directly. This story will lead to tonight's broadcasts. Mark steps back into the elevator completely. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. Excuse me, Mark says to the assembled group. I need to take this call. He steps fully into the elevator but holds the doors open with his foot. His voice carries clearly as he speaks into the phone. Patricia, yes, it's worse than we discussed. I have documented evidence of systematic discrimination, violation of Fair Housing Act regulations, and potential exposure under Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act. Yes, I'm coming up now. He ends the call and looks back at the group. Veronica, James, and Janet stand like condemned prisoners awaiting execution. There's something else you should know, Mark says quietly. This wasn't my first visit to this location. He reaches into his portfolio again, withdrawing a tablet. The screen shows a grid of video files, each labeled with dates and times spanning the past 6 months. September 15th, Mrs. Rodriguez denied service, told to try neighborhoods more suited to her background. October 3rd, Mr. Kim asked for proof of citizenship before viewing apartments. November 18th, Miss Washington charged higher application fees than white applicants. Each revelation hits like a physical blow. This wasn't isolated behavior. It was a pattern, a system. Janet's face goes gray. You've been recording us. The showroom has security cameras. As Veronica mentioned earlier, what they didn't realize is that Mark has been reviewing footage regularly, documenting incidents. You've exceeded my worst expectations, he repeats. Patricia speaks into her phone. Security, please escort the 3 individuals to conference room A. Through the glass walls, Mark watches Veronica, James, and Janet emerge from the elevator. Their confident showroom personas have evaporated. Veronica Hayes, 3 years with the company. Your Slack messages alone constitute hostile work environment violations. They all look the same. Your exact words. Veronica collapses into sobbing. The sound echoes off the marble walls. Mark activates the wall-mounted screens. Security footage begins playing, not just today's incident, but months of documented discrimination. The evidence is overwhelming, undeniable. September 15th, Mark narrates as video plays. Mrs. Rodriguez, a physician seeking to purchase her first home. You, James, told her to try neighborhoods more suited to her background. She earns $300,000 annually. James watches himself on screen, seeing his bias displayed in high definition. October 3rd, Mr. Kim, a tech entrepreneur looking for a commercial space. Veronica, you demanded citizenship papers despite his valid driver's license and American passport. Each video clip is a knife twist of accountability. Patricia produces termination documents. Standard severance packages are forfeited due to cause terminations. However, Mr. Thompson is offering minimal compensation in exchange for NDA compliance. Veronica looks up through her tears. How much? 2 weeks' pay. Take it or face civil litigation that will bankrupt your family. The choice isn't really a choice. James signs first, his hand shaking as he writes his name. Veronica follows, her career ending with a signature. Janet can barely hold the pen steady. Patricia collects their ID badges, access cards, and company phones. Security will escort them to retrieve personal belongings under supervision as they prepare to leave. Mark speaks one final time. You'll find that discrimination is expensive, not just for companies, but for individuals. Future employers will Google your names. This story will follow you. The three file out, their careers and reputations destroyed in under 2 hours. Emily pulls up the company's stock price, down 7% and falling. Markets hate discrimination scandals. We need immediate public response, Mark says. Schedule a press conference. Full transparency about today's events, our reform initiatives, and our commitment to inclusive practices. The crisis management begins immediately, but the real work, changing company culture, will take years. Through the windows, Manhattan stretches endlessly. Somewhere in those buildings, other companies face similar reckonings that today's live stream will inspire investigations, audits, and uncomfortable conversations. Change has begun. 3 hours later, the Sterling Realty website undergoes a dramatic transformation. Veronica Hayes' Employee of the Month photo disappears, replaced by a new message: committed to equal housing opportunity for all. James Rodriguez's Manager of the Year plaque vanishes from the showroom wall. In its place, a digital display shows real-time diversity metrics. Today's customer service: 47 families assisted, 100% satisfaction rating, 0 discrimination complaints. Mark stands before the bathroom mirror in his private executive washroom, straightening his tie before the press conference. Outside, news vans line 58th Street, CNN, NBC, Fox Business. Every major outlet wants this story. Patricia enters with final updates. Social media response is unprecedented. Emily's original live stream has 2.8 million views. Hashtag real estate reform is trending nationally. The numbers tell a story of viral accountability. This single incident has sparked nationwide conversations about discrimination in real estate, banking, and retail industries. Mark reflects in his executive office as Manhattan lights twinkle below. True power isn't about revenge. It's about creating lasting change that protects the next person who walks through that door. Life stories like this remind us that touching stories of discrimination still happen daily. But when people have the power to create change, they have the responsibility to use it. Have you witnessed discrimination in your workplace? Share your story in the comments below. If this video opened your eyes to hidden bias, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to see that change is possible. Together, we can create spaces where everyone is judged by character and qualifications, not appearance. Comment your experiences. Share this story. Subscribe for more real-life stories of justice served through intelligence, not anger. Because the most powerful revolution happens one respectful interaction at a time.